Hello, this is Heather of Henna by Heather, and in this video I'm going to discuss some things you can do to make your henna come out as dark as possible and last for as long as possible. I have 15 tips, I believe, for you, and the first set of them is for you as the henna artist that you can do regardless of what the client may do with the henna after you apply it to their skin. As long as you follow these steps, the henna will at least come out good, if not perfect, for the client. So the first one is to use a really high quality henna, like Artistic Organic Henna, which is from Rajasthan, or Jamila Henna, any henna that you've tested and you know to be just the best henna out there that gives you a really nice dark color when you do use it well. Make sure it's stored well. The supplier should be storing it in a cool, dry environment, not directly in sunlight at all. So cool, dry storage, and of course just a good crop to start with are going to be key in using the high quality henna to start with. And then the next thing that you as the henna artist can do is to use high quality essential oils with monoterpene alcohols. I prefer cajeput, 1 ounce of cajeput essential oil to 100 grams of henna, and then a little other oil to give it a nice scent like lemongrass and sweet orange oil. But using those high quality essential oils with the monoterpene alcohols is going to be really important. I guess my sign just fell down. Anyway, as we were saying, those are also known as terps for short. And other ones you can use that don't have quite as high levels of those monoterpene alcohols are tea tree, lavender, eucalyptus, kind of in that order, getting a little less and less good. But cajeput is really excellent. I recommend that most. Tip number 3, be aware of the dye release time for the henna that you're using. So you need to make sure that all the dye actually releases from the henna and it's like at its peak when you are going to be applying it to the skin. So there are other videos out there explaining what dye release is if you don't know. So check those out. You can also just look that up. So for Artistic Organic Henna, it's about 24 hours. For Jamila Henna, it's about 48 hours. And then for other hennas, you'll have to test it out and see. Okay, next tip is for you to have sealant on hand. Something to seal the henna on once it has dried so that it won't come off of the client's skin. So I like lemon sugar, just equal parts lemon juice and sugar with maybe a little extra sweet orange oil to make it smell really citrusy again, because actually bottled lemon juice doesn't smell that citrusy. So that is a good thing to do. Some people use like Elmer's glue and water, which is of course not really natural at all. Some people use hair gel spray, also not really natural. So I like lemon sugar. This is the one step of everything I'm going to say that I would say you could leave out the most. Often at a festival I won't actually bring lemon sugar because it is, it attracts bees, so, and other bugs. So, that's the one step. If you had to skip any of these in this first section for the artist, I would skip that one. But try to do all of them if you can. So your next step for you as the artist is, next and final step, is to make sure there's no moisturizer or sunblock or anything else on the skin when you're going to apply the henna. Just ask the client, have they put on moisturizer or sunblock? If they say no, go ahead and henna as usual. If they say yes, then you probably want to have some alcohol wipes on hand to remove that for them. Or if you don't have them, just send them off to go wash their hands, but then you might lose them if you're in a festival setting or something. So best to have something for them right in the booth. Okay, so that's it for the things that you as the artist can do before the henna is even applied to the skin. Alright, and for the client or yourself, if you're applying henna to yourself, while the paste is on the skin, here are some steps that you can take. So the first one is to leave the henna on as long as possible. 1 hour is the bare minimum, and overnight is ideal. And anywhere in between is good, but the longer, the better. And one way you can accomplish that is to wrap the henna and keep it on overnight. The process for doing that is to use your sealant first, let the sealant dry, then wrap in toilet paper. I usually wrap like one finger and then wrap it to the next finger, to the next finger, to the next finger, and then wrap the whole hand with toilet paper, and then wrap that with saran wrap. Tape the little ends of the saran wrap down, and that basically creates an environment where the henna is not going to move from the place where it was put down, and it's going to stay on the skin definitely, and the sweat from your body, just the heat and the moisture from your body will stay in that plastic wrap, and yet the toilet paper is there to soak up the moisture so it doesn't actually make the henna runny. So then you would leave that on overnight. I actually did not wrap this. I did every step except that for this first day color. I left it on overnight but didn't wrap it up. But you will probably want to wrap it up because I sleep very still and that's not normal. Anyway, so leaving the henna on as long as possible is important, and wrapping it is the way to do that. So it's kind of a two-part suggestion. Your next tip is to steam your henna. This is before it's wrapped, and basically if you boil water in like a shallow, low pan, like your frying pan, then just hold your hand over the steam with the henna facing down towards the steam. Just let the steam come up and warm and re-wet the henna just a little bit. That's really good for it. Don't cook your hand, be careful, but give that a try. Some people have tried using those vaporizers, which can also work but isn't quite as warm as steaming the henna. Alright, your next tip is kind of related. It is to keep warm. Just keep your body heat warm. Don't have the air conditioning on too high. If it's a winter day, make sure your heat is up pretty well. You can hold your hands near an actual radiator. You can also use a blow dryer for the heat from that. So it's important that you keep warm just for the henna to take as well as possible. If you're cold, you'll notice it's a lighter color. Alright, next step we have is for when you are taking the paste off. You want to take the paste off without using any water. Just kind of scrape it off. You can use your fingernail if you have strong fingernails, or use the back of a butter knife. And you can usually get most of it off with just your fingernail or the back of a butter knife. But if you're having any trouble getting last little stubborn parts off, still don't be tempted to use the water. You dab on some olive oil, let it kind of soak into the henna paste a little bit so it's wetter. You're not drowning it in olive oil, but dab it on. Let it soak, and then scrape it off with the butter knife, and that should come off pretty well. The downside of that is now your hand is oily, and since the whole point was to not use water on the henna, you can't exactly go wash the oil off. So try to scrape off what you can without oil. Alright, and then our last set of tips are for after the henna paste is removed. The first thing you want to do is, related to what we just said, avoid contact with water for as long as possible. Basically, you want to not wash dishes that day, wait as long as you can in the day to shower, things like that. This can be the least practical, most difficult to do of all the steps, and it's understandable if you do end up getting in contact with water sooner than you intended. Alright, so the reason for this, all this like don't use water stuff, is because what you're really waiting for the henna paste to do, henna stain to do, once the paste is off the skin, is you're waiting for it to oxidize, and the water interferes with that process. Alright, next thing to think about after the henna paste is removed is to avoid chlorine. Chlorine is a bleaching thing, so don't go in a swimming pool, or if you do something to protect your henna. Next step is to not use any skincare products that have any exfoliating elements, or anything that dries out your skin. So you don't want to use, obviously, like a nice body scrub right after you did henna if you want to keep it a nice long time. But also a little more subtly, like a lot of regular moisturizers actually have a little bit of an exfoliant within them. If you're just buying a commercial moisturizer with a long list of ingredients you can't really understand. So use as natural and pure of skincare products as you can, just so that you know what's in them and you know that it's definitely not anything that's going to interfere with your henna. Next tip, also related, is not to use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. That dries out your skin like crazy, and just, if you tend to apply that, you possibly tend to apply it obsessively, and if you're always putting stuff over your henna, then you're definitely interfering with the oxidization process. And then the alcohol on top of that will dry out your skin, and so that will make the henna fade faster, as well as not darkening as much. We learned this especially from employees at Clark University. There was this one employee bathroom that they all used that had hand sanitizer by the door, and they all used it. All the people used that bathroom, and thus the hand sanitizer. Their henna came out really not good at all. This was many years ago. But everyone who used a different bathroom, their henna came out awesome. So it's definitely something you want to avoid. And next step we have, actually the very final step, is to use a henna aftercare balm to protect your henna and keep it moisturized. This is after the oxidization has completely happened. Once it's nice and dark, it's 2 to 3 days after you've applied the henna. It's not like this, it's darker. It's not the first day, but 2 or 3 days after you've applied the henna. Then use an aftercare balm to protect the skin from any chlorine or anything you might use that would make it fade faster, and also to keep your skin moisturized. Like the mango balm at Artistic Adornment is really good for that, and because it has both the moisturizing and the water sealing out properties. And I think that is about it. Your 15 tips for caring for your henna and getting the best possible color and longevity out of your henna as possible. If you found this helpful, and I hope you did, please subscribe for more henna videos. And we will keep you posted with more tips and demonstrations and new products and things like that. So thanks so much, and subscribe, and feel free to comment if I left out any tips that you really like or you want to add to anything I said. Feel free to leave that in the comments.